Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my third live. So, just to remind you all, we're trying to build a community around English language education here in Algeria and beyond. So, the topics that we treat basically revolve around, English language teaching and learning. And today, I'm joined by my guest, Mr. Hamza Bagli. There he is. Welcome, Hamza. Hope you're having a
Good
great
evening,
day.
everyone. I'm
So,
fine. How
Hamza,
about you?
good, good. It's good to have you here. So
Thank you.
basically, Hamza was a college student just a year ago, and now he's the general manager of the US House Algeria. How impressive. So
Thank you.
he was my student. So he took some classes back in university with me, and his entire education here in Algeria was conducted in English. So I think it's important to highlight this point because the topic of our live today is about the use of English as a medium of instruction in Algerian universities. So basically, I invited Hamza Berli because he's a student, obviously, and I wanted to look at this topic from a student's perspective. And in the near future, hopefully, we'll try to look at it from a teacher's perspective. So, Hamza, are you ready?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you for the invitation, Anis. I am honored to be your guest for this live session. I've seen the previous ones, and I hope I will be able to contribute with my modest experience to this interesting topic. And welcome to our audience.
Good. It's a pleasure to have you, Hamza. So, is there anything else you'd like to add to the introduction? Maybe something I missed or.
No, you said all of it. Um, Again, it's an honor to be invited by my former professor. Um, you said it, I was a student and you taught me um, many modules in English. So I think it's the perfect life session.
Exactly. So, to remind everyone, so Hamza used to be a student at the Institute of Management here in Algiers called IMA in French. And he conducted his entire university path in English. So, yeah, it's just important to highlight this point. Okay, so let's start with the first question, Hamza. If you can just run us through your educational background
Yeah, of
briefly.
course. Okay, so uh, briefly, I have always wanted to pursue a career in management. I always had a tendency to want to be a leader of my team. So after obtaining my high school diploma in management and financial sciences, I enrolled at the University of Algiers 3 in Del Ibrahim, where I attended my first year in management, sciences, accounting, and economics. I then realized that studying in Arabic wasn't for me, honestly. So what I did is that I looked for somewhere to study in English here in Algeria. So I joined IMA, as you said, um, the Algerian American Institute of Management, where I studied in English until I completed my bachelor's degree in management.
Mm-hmm.
I never regretted this decision because I've seen that studying in English was exactly what was I looking for at
Mm-hmm.
that time. I finished my studies as top of my class and valedictorian of the 2023 academic year.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a pleasure to study in English. And as you mentioned earlier, I am now working as the general manager of the US House Algeria,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a company specialized in studying abroad, especially in the US and Canada. And I use English on a daily basis, uh,
Mm-hmm.
my job. So that's it.
All right, excellent. So, Hamza, why did you choose English? as the medium of instruction? Why
Well,
did you want to study in English?
all right. So basically, there were a lot of reasons why I wanted to study in English here in Algeria. Um, Honestly, I wanted to go to study abroad at first, but then I just said to myself that I could do it here, and I wanted to know if there was a possibility of doing it here. Um, I wasn't really interested in the going to live or study abroad. I was more interested in the language and the
Hmm.
facilities it could open to someone and the opportunities, of course. So basically, I grew up in a French-speaking family. I have always been francophone, as we say. That's the first reason. I have always been naturally attracted to foreign languages,
Hmm.
especially English and French.
Okay.
Uh, I also was, I, I I have always been convinced that English is the most important language to learn. I don't know from where it came, but I was always convinced of it. And I'm sure it always will be. Despite the rise of some other languages um, from other global powers like China or Russia, I'm sure that English will always be the leading international language for anyone who wants to succeed in their career.
Hmm.
Um, and I was right because now I'm actually working in Algeria and I'm using English uh, on a daily basis at work when I talk to some clients, my colleagues, of course, um, and of course when negotiating with foreign partners uh, in the US, Canada, in general.
Hmm. All
Of
right.
course,
Excellent.
of course, I'm still learning. Um, I don't consider my English to be at the best level, but I'm still learning and trying to acquire more English skills over time. And I guess this is the beauty of it. There's always something to learn. I'm convinced that English is a very rich language, um, especially when we get deep into some English areas, some specific English areas like, for example, business English.
Hmm. Excellent. So, yeah, of course, when we say English, the first word that comes to our mind is opportunities, right? So,
Yeah, that's the first
excellent.
word that came to my mind.
Yeah. So, obviously, I invited you to the live today to discuss the topic of English being used as the language of instruction in Algerian universities, right?
Yeah.
So, just to clarify for our audience, what do we mean by English as the medium of instruction? Can you just explain that to us?
Yeah, so for me, basically, using English as a medium of instruction means simply that English is the primary language used for teaching and learning in the educational system. This approach can be applied to various subjects and courses, uh, various modules, if
Mhm.
not all subjects. This teaching approach is actually what the Algerian government is trying to implement within the Algerian
Mhm.
educational system at
That's right.
all levels. So that's why I'm guessing that's why you wanted to discuss this interesting topic.
Yeah. So you were just talking about the government's initiative, right? So
Yeah,
the Algerian government, I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, I can't really remember. So they decided that all universities across the nation should use English as the medium of instruction, right?
yeah, and I
Across
will.
all subjects and disciplines. So
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think about that initiative? What's your opinion?
Well, first of all, first thing we have to admit is that it's a positive initiative.
Hmm.
This country needs development, definitely. And I think one of the proper answers to that, to one of the proper answers to development when it comes to communication, is the use of English in our educational system. I would also say that it was a great time to give English what it deserves. Algeria is
Mm,
still a developing country, not a
mm,
developed one, no matter what we think about it. But that's okay because we know what we need to improve and
mhm,
what to focus on. English will open a lot of opportunities, I believe, for Algerian citizens here and abroad. And
mhm,
I believe the more we use English and improve it in our society and improve it
mhm.
among our citizens, the more welcoming our country will be to foreign investors or even tourists.
All right.
Um, we could also declare English as that's just an idea, of course, but I think we could also declare English as a second or third official language for Algeria. I'm sure,
Mhm.
I'm sure this decision will result only because it seems in the future. Our society has a lot of potential, and Algerians are already used to French. I'm sure that over the generations and over time, we will be able to use this language at our best advantage.
Mhm.
Of course, if we work enough for it.
Okay, so let's just be pragmatic here. Okay, so in practice, what
Mhm.
is the benefit out of switching from French and Arabic to English?
Okay, so you mean what are the benefits for students for
For
Algerians in
students,
general?
since yeah, since my guest today used to be a student in the past, so yeah, we're trying to look at it from a student's perspective.
Yeah. So of course, I personally can see and I think we can all agree that there are a lot of benefits for students and beneficiaries in general behind that. We
Mm-hmm.
can say the enhancement of English proficiency that will help students achieve their academic or their purposes in communication in general. We also have a better access to global knowledge because this is something we cannot have if we only use Arabic or French.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Most, I'll give you a simple example. Most self-development books are originally in English, and I think this is something. If someone does not master English, this is something that can be hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, better career opportunity. That's
Yeah.
obvious for people, for students, for their future. Um, uh, it will prepare students for global job market that will not be accessible if they only mastered French or Arabic, obviously.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Um, and lastly, I would say that students may have the opportunity if they speak English and they prove their capacity in English, they may have the opportunity to um, have their education completed abroad in native English countries.
That's right.
Um, so,
Absolutely. Yep. Good. Yeah, that's right. I mean, we say that the language of science is English, the language of business is English,
yeah,
and
could not
recently,
agree more.
exactly, and recently we also say that the language of academia is English.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good. So, as a student, Hamza, how
Yeah.
well do you think you were prepared for for courses to be taught in English?
Uh, Talking about myself, uh, I honestly had no idea if I was prepared or not. I just jumped in. Um, I
Quite
had,
daring.
I'm sorry.
It's quite daring.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? Like
I agree with you. Yeah.
the challenge of wanting to study in English in a in Arab country
Hmm.
initially is exciting. I personally loved it. I loved the challenge. I loved the 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 small challenges behind it. Uh, but it was quite it was quite interesting more than anything else.
Mm, okay. So obviously you were in class along other students. So what
Yeah.
about them? What about the other students? Do you think they were well prepared for those courses to be taught in English?
Um, well, are we talking about barriers?
Challenges, comprehension, interaction with the professor in class, with other students, reading books, completing assignments in English, and all that.
Hmm. So, surprisingly, when I started studying in English, I found a lot of young people like me who already had a certain capacity in English.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I would say for the barriers, for the challenges they had to face, um, I'd say that when someone is interested in their success, as I was, and I'm still in it,
Mm-hmm.
um, they will get along with any existing language. I don't think language is a barrier. Uh, I think it's the opposite. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that can get you to your goals quickly and with more efficiency. Um, from my experience, my former comrades who were not interested in studies in general were the ones actually having issues and facing barriers with English speaking teachers, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe English is a relatively easy language to learn when we are committed to it.
I see. So all we need is the will, the motivation, the commitment,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
and a
And
little bit
and
of
I've
risk
seen,
taking.
and I've seen it, and I've seen it. I'm not the only one who loves English. I'm not the only one who sees their life uh, constructed with the English language.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you were to compare your proficiency level in English before you started your education, like 4 years ago,
Mm.
and now, do you feel that there's been some progress, some improvement?
Yeah, yeah, actually, especially in the speaking area, because
Okay.
I personally have this issue of knowing exactly what I wanted to say in French or Arabic, but
Mm-hmm.
some words in English will just not come out, and you end up in that weird situation where you're talking to somebody with some blanks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's it. But I was better at writing.
Okay. Good. Um, so, what resources were you provided with in order to face this challenge, the challenge of undertaking education in English? Did you get any support, any help from the school?
Okay, I see. So from I'm gonna speak from my own experience, of course. Um, this was uh, I started studying in English before all the governmental will to switch to the English
That's right.
English speaking. Um, and besides the fact that all courses were taught in English and besides all the resources provided by professors and the availability of a digital and physical library where I was studying, there was no other resources to enhance students' English skills. And I think I can deduce from my experience a couple of points to improve in the Algerian educational system, in the Algerian educational institutions,
Mm-hmm.
looking to use uh, English as a medium of instruction. For example, I could suggest we need to encourage parties. to speak English within the actual institution.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we have a lot in.
Mm-hmm.
I think all students, professors, and members of the administration as well, why not? I think they all should participate in the practice of English
Okay.
when they interact between them and when it comes to all interactions within the institution. Even if someone's level is not that good, or not that perfect, and even if they are not in a formal context,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think practice is the key. That's what helped me when I started studying in English. I started
Mm-hmm.
practicing with professors, with my fellow colleagues, um, and that felt good to see that someone is with people with who he can communicate in this foreign language. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think practice is the key to improve
Yep.
and learn from others when it comes to English or any other foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Algerians, that's my own opinion, but I think it's important to share it. I think Algerians have kind of a complex when it comes to um, speaking. They are afraid of the judgment of people, other people,
Mm-hmm.
and this is something we have to work on. This is something we have to really correct in order
Yeah.
to let people practice their English in peace and improve.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not just something that's typical of Algerian people. I think
Hmm.
it's global. It's more global. From my experience, working overseas,
Hmm.
it's the same phenomenon that we can witness. It's the fear of being judged. It's human nature.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, excellent. Hamza, we're gonna take a quick break. Okay.
all right.
Everyone watching us, you can ask your questions. You're welcome to ask your questions. Just use the comments. Okay. All right. See you after the break. English and French have a lot in common, especially when it comes to vocabulary. Many words are present in both languages and have identical meanings. However, this overlap can sometimes be deceptive. Take sensible, for instance. This word does not mean what you think it does. In English, sensible means reasonable, rational, or logical. For example, eating a balanced diet is a sensible approach to maintaining good health. What about the word tariffs? Likewise, it doesn't mean what you think it does either. In English, tariffs are customs duties or taxes. For example, the government has announced new tariffs on imported cars from Europe. Now, over to you. What do you think the word pass, as in pass an exam, means? All right, welcome back.
Go back.
So, yep, just to remind our audience, you can ask your questions. So please just use the comment section to send us your questions if you have any, of course. Okay, so Hamza, let's just proceed with the questions. Let's
Hmm.
talk a little bit about your academic performance. So you
Okay.
graduated last year and you were the top of your class,
Yep.
which is very
Thank God.
impressive.
Thank you
Now,
so
do
much.
you
It's
think,
also thanks to you.
thanks. So, do you think that your academic performance would have been better if you had done your studies in Arabic or in French?
Okay. Um, I don't think so. No, no, definitely not.
Mm,
Um, English was it is the most important. parameter that was attracting me to my studies.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I speak French fluently, and I love it, I love French. I love all languages in general. Um, but being aware that English is the most useful language worldwide has kind of encouraged me and motivated me during my studies. And I know that it would have been different, let's say a little boring if I was taught in French or Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried Arabic. It's really not for me. It wasn't for me. And there's also, as I said earlier, there's also a challenge around it. There's a challenge around um, studying in English in a Arabic speaking country.
Okay.
Um, and I love the challenge to the point that I now prefer English over French.
Mm-hmm.
And that I always seek opportunities to speak in English here in Algeria.
Mm-hmm. Good. So we've talked about the government's initiative. We've talked about the challenges that Algerian students face, using English in class. Now let's talk about the opportunities. So, what opportunities do you think await Algerian students who study in English currently in the future?
Okay. Well,
In terms of course, furthering their education overseas, or in terms of maybe embarking on an international career.
mhm. So you mean what are the benefits of studying in
Exactly.
English?
Not
Uh,
now, but in the future, of course. Like once they graduate, once they complete their education.
okay. So first of all, when you graduate from a native English country, most countries allow you to stay there after you study.
Hmm.
They allow you to work there. Um, People need to be aware that if you already have a background of a Arabic speaker or Arabic and French speaker in your home country, if you also add to that the mastery of English, you're trilingual. This is an asset for them.
That's
So
true.
so so
Definitely. Yep.
yeah. So um, not people are trilingual, especially there, because they're not going to be interested in studying Arabic, for example. That's sad to say, but the truth. So if they master English, for example, in the US, most people only master English. They don't seek to learn any other language.
Hmm.
Um, that's it. So I think the most important opportunity is that you can settle in the particular country you're going to study in, and you can build a career there.
Okay. So you're talking about students who study in an English speaking country, right?
Yeah.
All right. What about Algerian students studying here in Algeria in English?
Well, that's profitable as well for them because they're going to be able to work at multinational companies.
Mhm.
Um, they're going to be able to communicate with foreign investors if they have a project in mind here in Algeria to create. That they can hold a they can hold they can also hold important governmental uh, job positions
Mhm.
that require the use of English. Um, that's it. I think I think English is profitable in all ways. Even if you want to build a career here in Algeria, um, that's definitely gonna boost your career.
I see. So, in terms of furthering one's education abroad in an English speaking country, most English speaking universities require an IELTS score or a TOEFL score, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you have conducted your education, like your undergraduate education in English, would you still be required to take either of those two tests?
Well, I'm currently working in this field, so
Mm,
I know that they still require it for now.
I see.
Um, Even if you studied in French, for example, let me give you a more um, representative example. For
Yeah,
example, for French, even if you studied um, in École Supérieure here in Algeria, where
yeah.
they teach French, even if you have a master's degree, you still have to pass the TCF, for example, if you want to
Hmm.
study in France, Canada. And it's the same for the US, for Canada, for the UK, for Ireland, if you want to study in English. So they will still require an IELTS from you with, let's say, um, a mark of 6, maybe out of 9. So maybe it's because we're still new in this world as a country.
Yeah.
We recently adopted English.
Hmm.
It's gonna take a lot of time, of course, in order for them to admit that our institutions are capable of teaching in English and producing um, efficient and capable students who will be capable of using English on a daily basis. But for now, it's still required.
Hmm.
We
I
need to
see.
work on in order
Okay.
to show that we have the capacity to 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 be able to avoid um, showing a proof of our
Hmm.
competence.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, Hamza, ready for the most fun part of the entire life, which is the quiz.
I'm having fun since we started.
All right, so you know the concept, right? I'll be firing quick questions at
Mhm.
you, and you'll have to
Yeah,
provide answers as quickly as possible. Ready?
yeah. Let's go.
All right. One thing you miss about your student life.
Peace.
Okay. That's interesting. One thing you don't miss about your student life.
Um, the urge to work because I wanted to work early.
Okay. What do you say to those who tell you you are too young to be a manager?
Well, I'm still maybe some people who already told me that are watching the live right now. But I would say that I saw an opportunity and it was meant for me because they needed someone who's fluent in English, who had a um, management, uh, who had followed management studies. So I
Hmm.
think life is a series of opportunities that you have to take. And if you don't, you're just gonna end up finding excuses. So I saw an opportunity, I took it, and I'm happy I did.
Okay. How do you start your day as a young manager?
Well, I start my day uh, with a coffee and a calm, very calm jazz song called
Mm,
Almost Blue by Chet Baker.
wow, that sounds stylish.
Thank you.
If you wanted to continue your studies overseas, where would you do it?
Which I do. I want to pursue my studies. I didn't finish my studies, and I will. Where I would say to definitely an English-speaking country, Canada, the US,
Hmm.
the UK at work. I don't really like British accent. So we'll see.
Okay. The best country to immigrate to for young Algerian people, in your opinion?
Okay, well, it depends. If they are looking for money, they should go to the Gulf.
Hmm.
They should go to Emirates. They
Okay.
should go to Qatar or Kuwait. If they are looking for a long-term career and money
Hmm.
and a very successful career, they should head to the US. If they're looking for a country where they can have uh, papers, let's say
Yeah.
gonna be Canada
Hmm.
or Europe.
Excellent. Okay. Good. Another foreign language that you wish, um, that you want to see being used here in Algeria, apart from English or French. Well, French is not a foreign language.
Hmm. Mm, I would say Spanish because of our geography and because of the number of countries using it around the world.
Hmm. Okay. One particular quality that you want to see in a teacher, in a university professor using English as a medium of instruction.
Not giving up on English. I've
Hmm.
seen a lot of professors trying to tell their message in English and then just give up after seeing students not as interested as they wish they were. So I think a hold to the language. Make students like and love the language because really it's a really interesting language. And if you arrive to the point that you speak fluently,
Hmm.
you're gonna love it more.
Okay. The most memorable thing about using English in class back in uni.
I won't say in class, but I will say at where I was studying, I did a
Hmm.
speech in English at the end of my defense 1 year ago, and it was in English, and it was memorable.
Okay. And the final question, one secret talent that you have and that not many people know about.
Now many people know about.
Yep. What is it?
Mm, well, I would say that's not something. That's something some people know about me. That's something you have to see me uh, working to notice it. But I'm a hardworking young man. I really work hard to achieve my dreams, and I'm dedicated. That's I think that's my best quality.
Okay, well, that's not secret. That's not a secret talent.
Yeah,
I myself know that already.
yeah, you know that. Let's say I like to write poems. That's not something people know about.
Ah, okay. It's good to
In
know that.
French, in French
Okay.
especially.
Not in English. That's too bad. Okay, so before we proceed with the final question of this live, let me just take one question from an audience member here.
Mhm.
So, Nasreen Sadi, um, she's actually very happy with your performance right now.
Thank you, Nasrin.
She,
Her name is Nasrin, right?
Nasreen, exactly. She says you've got
I
some
cannot
great
see the
potential.
comments. I cannot see the comments. That's not fair, my friend.
Uh, all right. So her question reads, do you think the decision, the government's decision to implement English was well studied, especially considering that most university professors use French and Arabic as the main, language of instruction? So, do you think that that decision was well studied? I think you partly answered this question towards the beginning of the
Yeah,
live, right?
yeah, she did.
Maybe you can add something.
Okay, I would say that the decision itself is a very good decision. As I said, it's something positive. that can only bring positive uh, returns to our society and our educational system in general. Um, but I would agree with Nisrin on something. The timing the government chose may be not appropriate because
Mm-hmm.
I've talked with some professors at different universities here in Algeria,
Mm-hmm.
and what they told me was surprising. They told me that they still don't have enough uh, uh, trained professors in English.
Mm.
So, as she said, that's too bad. But I think in general, if the government um, trains professors um, in that way, that that's only something positive for our country.
Yeah, it's a must. It's a must. It has to be
Yeah,
done.
it
Yeah.
was a great time to be there.
All right. And the final question is, so what is your advice to Algerian students who are about to start their educational journey in English? Not those who have already started, those who are about to start.
Okay,
What's your advice for them?
um, I would say read books,
Mm,
watch movies in their original English version,
hmm.
listen to music in English.
Yeah,
There's all kind of music that could be found in English. Um, Podcasts are also perfect to listen to
like this
English.
one, like this one, right?
Yeah, exactly. If my English is good enough, you can learn from it. Um,
Of
and
course
of
they can.
course, and the podcast, for example, or music in general, is something you can do, you can use even when you're doing something else. So
Mm,
no excuses. Um, and of course, if someone needs to improve their English in a more supervised or a more professional manner, or even to target specific needs, they can definitely reach out to a professional like you are for a personalized program. That can help people who are um, far from the level expected from themselves.
mm, okay. All right. Excellent. Well, thanks. Thanks a lot for that advice. I'm pretty sure that a lot of students out there would very much appreciate it. Really. Okay, Hamza.
Wish them good luck.
We come to the end of this live. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you for the
It
invitation.
was it was a pleasure to have you, and I would love to have you again. So
Thank you so
please
much.
don't hesitate to come back anytime in the near future.
If the audience wants it, I will be here.
Well,
Let
Nasreen
them
is
message
very
me.
happy, and I'm pretty sure she would want to see you again.
Is she on my network or yours?
Sorry.
Do you know her or she's on my network?
Well, I do know her, yeah, but I'm not sure whether she is on your in your
Okay,
network.
okay, I'll check.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So yeah, thank you so much, Hamza. Thanks for
Thank
sharing
you.
your insights and your perspective.
Thank you so much.
It was
Thank you so
very
much.
informative.
That was
Yeah.
really enlightening, even for me. And I thank the audience for coming, of course.
All right, everyone else watching, thank you so much and see you next time. Enjoy the
See
rest of
you.
the evening. Take care. Bye.
Good evening.